Hello everyone, this is Warhawk Beyond 2040 and welcome to another edition of the Daredevil Born Again Season 1 review series. And today I am going to be talking about Episode 6, Excessive Force, which I have just finished watching. And this episode was absolutely unbelievable. This was brutal, hard-hitting, dark, and epic. It was incredible, and in my opinion, episode 5 and episode 6, for my money, the best episodes of this series thus far. This episode really packed a punch, and we finally got to see Matt Murdock put on the Daredevil suit once again and just absolutely came to play, so to speak. This was an unbelievable episode. I really enjoyed this one a lot, and it really sent out a powerful message that Daredevil was back and more vengeful than ever. Whew, unbelievable stuff. And this episode was a very interesting one because the theme of this episode was duality. This focused on both sides of a character's personality. It focused on Matt Murdock's duality and Wilson Fisk's duality. As you see throughout this episode, both guys are trying really hard to not embrace the temptation of the darkness from within, but ultimately they do give in. And, you know, Matt Murdock has, for the most part, he's kept it under control. He's trying to be the good defense lawyer, but every once in a while, he gets a little taste of smacking someone or putting someone's head through a wall or anything like that. And you can see on Matt's face that he needs to unleash his pent up frustration in the worst way. And the same with Wilson Fisk. He's now the mayor. He's trying to do everything by the book for the city, but deep down, he's still the kingpin. He's still evil at heart, and he just wants to take someone out just to satisfy himself. And I thought this episode did a really good job showcasing the duality and the split personas of both Matt Murdock and Wilson Fisk. And it's interesting because these two had no interaction with each other in this episode, but we got to see how their lives are from their eyes. So I thought this episode did a really good job in showing us what Matt's life is like from his eyes and Wilson's life from his eyes. And it's funny because when they both finally embrace the darkness, they do it in quite violent fashion. And you can see, like, on one side, Wilson Fisk is beating the crap out of someone, and then Matt Murdock is doing the exact same thing, beating the crap out of someone. But it's both executed very differently. And I thought this episode did a really good job of that. And it was great to see Matt Murdock back in the Daredevil suit once again. And from what I have been seeing with certain pictures going about, that we might finally get a more comic book accurate version of the Daredevil suit. We might see the black suit with the two D's on his chest. Who knows, really? But I don't know if we'll be getting it in a few episodes later, but we're definitely heading in that direction from what I've been seeing. So, as always, I'm going to be giving a quick recap of what's happened so far, and then after that, we're going to get straight into talking about episode 6. So, as we saw previously in episode 5, we saw an entire bank held hostage on St. Patrick's Day, and we saw Matt Murdock was one of the hostages, and this was one of the few times that he couldn't suit up as Daredevil, so he had to use his senses and his intellectual skills in a different way to save the day. And of course, we got to see Matt Murdock take out one of the robbers in classic Daredevil fashion and still manage to come out on top. And it was a great showcase of seeing that Matt Murdock is more than just the man in the suit. He is more than just a defense lawyer. He's a very smart guy and he knows how to use his gifts and his abilities in very unique ways to try and save the day. And that was a very good episode, in my opinion, and it done a tremendous job in setting up for the next episode, which is, of course, episode 6. So, with that all said, let's not waste any more time. Let's get straight into it. Let's talk about episode 6, Excessive Force. So, we see Matt Murdock is reciting a prayer and reflects on what happened to him since he lost Foggy Nelson to Bullseye's attack and how he's completely abandoned his Daredevil persona. We see Heather Glenn comes to check up on him and is still worried after Murdock got caught in a bank robbery and made it out alive. She tells Murdock about her new book on vigilante justice and whether the mask helps people be their true self or strips away their identity. Glenn recalls Murdock's past experience with vigilantes such as the Punisher and Daredevil and asks if he could help her out, but Murdock says that interviewing the Punisher is not a good idea. As Wilson Fisk and Sheila Rivera discuss the schedule, Lucer pays an unexpected visit to New York City Town Hall, much to Fisk's chagrin, and Fisk makes it clear that he does not want him there, knowing that it was all about the 1.8 million restitution. So Fisk reminds him that he must pay Victor. Lucer taunts Fisk and voices his unwillingness to pay, to which Fisk responds with increasing the restitution to 2.8 million, and Lucer says that Fisk is no longer part of their business and should not intervene, but he refuses to budge and gets Lucer out of his office. We see Muse terrorizes the streets of New York City as more dead bodies with drained blood and gouged out eyes are found. And John E. Santini comes to Fisk to talk about the murals he is working on and removing, and informs Fisk that they are made with human blood, which makes them impossible to wash away. Angela Del Toro visits Murdoch at Murdoch and McDuffie law office and tells him that before his death, Hector has been investigating the kidnappings of innocent people, asking if Murdoch could help her look into it. Murdoch tries to convince Del Toro to let the authorities handle it, and she tells Murdoch out for dismissing her and waving away the important issue. Fisk listens to Gallo and Angie Kim reporting about Muse's killing spree and the murals he had been painting all over the city. Gallo suggests spreading the word about Muse being incredibly dangerous so civilians would steer clear from him. But Fisk claims if they do that, Muse would go into hiding. Gallo protests, saying that it was not the way to go, to which Fisk says the city's police department's poor results in catching Muse and claims that it was time to switch up the protocols. As a result of Fisk's decision, two women approach Muse on the street while he was making another mural, unaware that he is a serial killer, and they soon become his victims. Preparing for a fundraising event for his project, Fisk talks to Vanessa about Lucer's attitude and how the world of politics still feels a little new to him. Fisk says that the way he gets people to do his bidding is to find what they want and provide it, to which Vanessa replies it would not be that simple. She claims that the rich elites of the city already have everything they want, and if Fisk wants something from them, he needs to feed their ego by asking. Fisk shows up at the event, speaking to attendees to gather their support, but they mostly dismiss him and claim that they are the ones who decide what Fisk does or does not do. Jack gives Fisk a warning not to underestimate them, as their power and influence might be able to outweigh Fisk's if he is not careful. Murdoch decides to look into what Del Toro was talking about, and Sherry informs Murdoch about Muse and his killing body count. Sherry urges Murdoch to not involve himself and let the police do their jobs for once. Fisk gets informed by Daniel Blake and Buck Cashman about Mewes' killing more people and leaving their bodies near his mural to taunt the police. With the public's anxiety growing, Fisk uses the situation to his advantage and presents Gallo with his task force project, although Gallo is not pleased with the officers Fisk has chosen. We then see Fisk personally visits the 15th Precinct Police Station, speaking with the likes of Connor Powell and Cole North, inspiring them with taking the city back from Mewes and other criminal masked vigilantes that terrorize the city. The officers fully support Fisk and he officially authorizes the Anti-Vigilante Task Force as Cashman provided the officers with their new gear. Murdoch gets called by Soledad Alea, who is worried that Del Toro did not come home at night, and Murdoch concludes that she might be trying to investigate Mewes on his own. Matt decides to take matters into his own hands and puts on the Daredevil suit once more, heading over to the subway tunnels that came up in his research. We see Daredevil finds Mewes at his lair as he captures Del Toro and prepares her for his next work of art. And we see Daredevil intervenes just in time to save her. This leads to a brutal fight between Daredevil and Mewes, and Daredevil manages to take him down, though he has to rush over to Del Toro and resuscitate her, which gives Mewes a chance to slip away. Meanwhile, as this is going on, we see Fisk gives Adam an axe and gives him a chance to fight him, but this is all a ruse as we see Fisk absolutely brutally destroys Adam and takes him down and takes out all his pent up anger on Adam. And that's how we end episode 6, Excessive Force. This episode was absolutely incredible, hard hitting, brutal, dark, and emotional. And wow, I absolutely loved this episode. This was fantastic. And seeing Daredevil beating Mewes to a bloody pulp and then screaming, loved it. And then seeing Fisk beating up Adam while Daredevil is beating up Mewes at the same time was just excellent to see those two going back and forth in their scenes, in their violent moments, was just incredible. I absolutely loved this episode. Episodes 5 and 6 were so far the best episodes of this season. I really enjoyed this one a lot. And I thought finally Daredevil is back and he hasn't missed a single beat, he hasn't missed a single step. Holy cow, this did not disappoint. And it was definitely well worth waiting to see Matt suit up once again. And he just absolutely tore Mewes apart. But overall, this was a fantastic episode, and I'm looking forward to seeing how the rest of the series is going to play now that Fisk has assembled his own anti task force. So that's going to be it from me. I'm going to wrap this up now. What did you guys think of episode 6? Did you enjoy it? How good did you feel seeing Matt suit up as Daredevil once again? Did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy seeing Daredevil and Fisk delivering violent beatdowns to their respective enemies? Did you think that was a good scene? And also, where do Daredevil and Fisk go from here? What's their next move? And what about Mewes? He escaped. Will we see him again? You know what to do, guys. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, leave your thoughts and comments down below, and I will see all of you next time for another edition of the Daredevil Born Again Season 1 review series, where I am going to be talking about Episode 7, which I'm really excited to talk about and see, especially with the way Episodes 5 and 6 have played out, and especially 6 in particular. Should be a good one, and I can't wait. So until next time, take care, everybody, and stay safe. And once again, as always, much appreciated. Thanks for listening.